Hi, I'm Jonathan Weston. I'm a Weta sailor from the Bay Area. I just want to talk to you today a little bit about improving your sailing. So how does one go about doing that? Well, mostly they spend time on the water. And there's also time on the water versus time in regatta. So you can practice all you want by yourself. If you have a good group of friends you can go out sailing with, that's the best way to improve. As a college sailor, I had a training partner, and we went out every day, not every day, but we skipped class a lot. We went out as much as we could and practiced, starts. We practiced tacks, we practiced jibes, we practiced mark roundings, and mostly those are the things, boat handling. Those are the things you can really advance your sailing quite far in. And then there's strategy, and strategy comes from only racing. You can't pick that up by time on the water. You have to race. If racing is your thing. If it's just going out and enjoying yourself, well, this is probably the wrong lecture. The power of P. What is the power of P? Has nothing to do with the flap in your wetsuit. What it has to do with is preparation. So, I can point to my biggest failures in regattas this year as being, lack of preparation, not being prepared. And to go from here, this is the novice sailor. He's going to be the least prepared because he has no idea what he's doing, right? And your pro sailor who does it every day and, probably makes a living at it, however slight. So, but you have your amateur. Amateur can last for years. You can be, intermediate paralysis. You can just go for years as an amateur. And then your semi-pro is probably somebody who has sailed quite a long time, has a lot of experience, it's ingrained in their body. If you can't sail all the time, like some of us have jobs, all you can do is think about it. And you can also think about it in terms of preparation. So how do I prepare myself for a regatta? Well, there's several ways. So there's three ways to prepare yourself. There's the boat, right? So your boat, you have to go over everything. Every single line. Make sure nothing is worn or chafed. So a lot of people come in with broken halyards, a little piece of metal. Obviously, that metal was broken before they went out, or it was on the edge of it. So you can pretty much look at everything and just go over line by line and say, especially at the attachment points, is this worn? If it is, replace it. You'll save yourself a lot of pain. So make sure everything on the boat, the bottom is smooth. You can sand your boat. You don't want to kind of go to the regatta and be sanding your boat and everything, and you really are at the back of the fleet. It's not going to help you. You can sand all you want. Sanding the boat is really for the very top guys who have very, very small degree of separation between, themselves and the next guy. So they might get that little bit of edge. But the little bit of edge that you're going to get is not going to make a difference by sanding. But it doesn't hurt to keep your boat, everything. You don't want to have a rough edge on the bottom of it, the lip of your boat or, anywhere. So you want to go over, the main thing is, I think, in a Weta is having a watertight boat. The last regatta, everybody pulled their boats out of the water, and there was a lot of water, so they had some really good excuses. But it doesn't help you much on the race course to have an excuse. So you want to go out on the water with no excuses. And that means, first of all, your ports. Look at your port and make sure that it's watertight. If it has plastic cracks, if it's worn, replace it with a better port. That's my best suggestion on, your hull plug. I get Icolite. You can order it from B&H Photo. Icolite. It's O-ring lubricant. That's all I use it for. And you put it on your O-rings. Pretty obvious, but just in case somebody didn't get it, that will keep your boat watertight. If you have any, major seal problems on your gunnels or anything like that, that's major boat repair kind of stuff. I can't help you with that. But just check it all over and make sure that those 3 entry points are sealed, as well as the amas that go into your boat. You can get a pool toy for like $3 and stuff your amas with it, so that the water actually does come up. Maybe not where you live, but where I live, the water comes right up into the little opening, goes through the ama and through the ama pole, whatever you call it, strut, and goes into your ama. So you wonder, how is it that this thing is full of water every time when it seems to be watertight? If you sit on your boat on the back under the water, you'll see bubbles come out of your port. That means your port is leaking. So just like an inner tube, you put underwater to fix that. So you need to fix your boat and make sure it's watertight. There's a big difference between ready and race ready, right? The one thing you want to make sure is your battens. Your battens are tensioned correctly. They're not broken. Check your battens. You just can't assume anything. Then, so your boat's good. Your boat's ready to go. What about your body? Is your body ready to go? Like again, I said, lake sailing, your body can be anything it wants to be. You can drink all the beer you want. You can party. You can, never go to the gym. But if you sail in areas that are really windy, you probably want to hit the gym. I know it's not a great place to go, but you need to go at least 3 times a week. You need to ride a bicycle. You need to do all the kinds of things, even though your work may not allow you to do it. You need to put your best effort into maintaining your body. And you need to think, when you're training, think of your nearest competitor, Dave Berntsen. Okay, beat Dave Berntsen. That's what you want to say. Beat Dave Berntsen every time you do a sit-up. Beat Dave Berntsen. Okay, every time Dave Berntsen does a sit-up, he says, beat Gordon Lyon. So your mind is probably the biggest thing that you want to prepare. So the first thing you want to prepare in your mind is you get there early enough to be relaxed. You don't want to get there at the last second and have to rush and be all frantic. And you get out to the race course and you barely make the start. That's no way to race, okay? You don't want to get to a regatta at 2 in the morning and then go party all night. If you're serious at all about racing, winning a race, that's the difference between an amateur and a pro. So the amateur doesn't think about anything. He thinks about their girlfriend or, the last movie they saw. The pro is thinking about beating Dave Berntsen. What are they going to do to beat Dave Berntsen, right? So even the semi-pro's thinking that. So so you have to be prepared. You have to be relaxed. And the Paul Elfstrom rule of thumb, you have to be on the water 1 hour before the race. On the water. That doesn't mean kind of, heading out on the dock towards the water. It means being on the water, being on the race course, and checking every single variable you can possibly figure out. Now, if you're lucky, there's a multi-class regatta, and you can see the other classes go ahead of you, and you can see them tack, which side of the course are they going on, that kind of thing. So you can rely on that. But, ahead of time, you can ask about local knowledge. People will probably tell you about the currents. You need to know when the tide is high, when it's flooding, when it's ebbing. If you're in a lake, it doesn't matter. But there's still, even a lake, there's the cows. You can watch the cows on the shore, and they might, shift towards the wind in Tennessee. I swear to God, they do that. They shift, so you can look at the cows and see where the wind shifts are. The little local knowledge stuff like that, believe it or not, will help you advance. You don't have to win a race, but you want to get better. That's the whole thing. You want to get better. You don't want to get worse. The most fun thing in sailing is getting better. Once you get to the top, there's only one way to go. So the best part is coming along this line, right? Once you get to pro, okay, you're making money, but a lot of pressure on you, and the sport becomes no longer fun. I've done it as a windsurfer, so just know that if you're here, you're having a lot more fun than this guy, okay? And you probably have a real job. So you're on the water 1 hour early, and what are you doing on the water? Okay, the first thing, one of the things you're doing is you're checking lay lines, right? You get on the lay line and you line up the mark with a land, you know. So if you don't have 500 electronic instruments on your boat, which I hopefully you don't, the most important thing I think is hitting the jibe lines on a Weta. It's not so much on the tacks, but tacks are a lot easier to figure out than the jibe lines. So we want to be able to take that last jibe and know, if I jibe right here at this spot, am I going to come in too hot to the mark? And if it's windy, I'm going to, you know, have to release my sail and take it down. Or am I coming in too soft, right? So then I have to head downwind and really slow my boat and watch everybody pass me. So, or take an extra jibe, which is the same thing. So these kind of things you kind of need to work out before the race. You want to go on the starting line. You want to see which end is favored. That's pretty obvious. But you want to see how favored it is, because on a Weta, you want to be on starboard tack. You know, it's got to be really a bad starting line to be on port tack. But we'll go over that. We'll go over that right now. Okay, so this is part 2 of my lecture. I'm going to have a red boat and blue boat, okay? So maybe we'll throw a green boat in there. But the green, you know, the marks are green. So this is the starting line, pretty obvious. But if it's not that obvious, I'll make some dotted lines. There we go. The wind is hopefully in this direction, okay? Now, Weta is a wide boat. So, you know, people are pretty timid. You know, in laser class, you got 50 guys. They come up and they're all knocking boats, you know, and they're all hitting booms on each other. And, you know, it's pretty much, it's a very, very tight line. Whereas Wetas are, you know, it's very spread out. And people are kind of, you know, they don't really want to pickle fork anybody. If you screw up at the start, you really screw up. But there are, you know, there's certain ways you can start better. The first way is, you know, you start over here, right? So this is, oh, that's a terrible boat. But anyway, this is me, and I have an extra sail, don't I? So I'm coming this way, and all these other boats, they're lined up over here. Right? So here's a boat. There's always a guy up here trying to, you know, barge the line. There's a guy down here who has no idea what he's doing. Okay, so at least he can draw a boat probably. And then there's me, and I'm coming up this way. And I'm going to find out how these boats are situated. If I sit here, you know, I'm kind of stuck. You know, luffing a Weta is not that easy. You know, you can't really stop it that well. So you have to get used to the speed of what it's like to luff a boat, luff a Weta. So I come up this way, and I say, well, do I want to come behind this guy? Do I want to come in here? You know, what's the situation? So the situation will be different every time. There's always going to be gaps in a Weta fleet, right? You want to be, ultimately, when the gun starts, you want to be right here. Okay, we're going to draw a nice boat because we want to be right there, right? And then as soon as it starts, we're bearing off like this, okay? Boom. Everybody else is behind us, they're to the side of us. They're not here. This is the point you want to be on a Weta, okay? Now it's kind of like surfing. With surfing, you go to pipeline, right? And you got kind of a dominant surfer. So dominant surfer will be here. This is where the takeoff point is on a wave. That's a takeoff point on the start line. A lot of guys are going to come early. They're going to bear off. They're going to go down here. You might come early. You might have to bear off and go down here. It's better than going over here, right? So, but the guy that times it right is going to sneak inside of you. And what's going to happen? Okay, so you're down. Say this guy's stuck inside of you, and you're already started. right? You're kind of pinching up there. Anyway, so he's right here, right? That's a terrible drawing. But anyway, you get my point. I cannot tack, right? The wind has shifted. Let's say the wind has shifted, okay? So I can't tack until this guy tacks. So if I'm this boat down here, I can't tack until the whole fleet tacks, right? So that's pretty much my plan is their plan. You want to have your own plan. You want to be this boat. You want to be the first one off the line right here at this spot. It takes practice. And like I said, there's always a dominant dog that's going to be right there. In the Florida fleet, it was Randy Smythe, you know, because he's done it a million times. And I knew it, so I said, well, he's a dominant dog. I'm going to let him have that spot. I'm going to take this spot, right? I already know he's going to get that. You know, I'm not going to battle this guy. He's a pro sailor. He's the P. I'm the kind of the Will Ferrell down here, right? So, and then he goes, and I'll kind of let him go, and then I can drive off. Now, if you get the driver, okay, like Dave Berntsen, he's a driver, right? You can let him be that boat, right? No problem. If I see Dave Berntsen coming up here inside of me, I'll let him have the inside, right? Because I know he's a driver, and I'm more of I'm not a pointer, but I don't drive the boat all the time. So he'll be stuck. I'll be able to pinch up, and I'll be able to pinch up. I'm going to actually bear off here a little bit, right? I'm going to pinch up until, why I keep taking these caps off, I don't know. But maybe I'll go to art school. I did go to art school. Okay, so then he's behind me. Now I can tack, right? But I don't want to be this guy, right? I don't want to be that guy. I want to be somewhere up here. You know, you got to know your place, though. That's like surfing, you know. Okay, I'll let him have that wave, and then I'm going to go. And then one day, I'm going to be that guy, right? So you want to work towards being that guy. But if you're the novice or the very amateur, you don't want to be that guy, right? Because that guy's going to get smoked, okay? He's going to cause problems for everybody else in the fleet, and probably not the most popular guy at the bar. So with that said, this is the strategy of what you want to be. So you want to be this guy. You always want to be the guy out in front. And then you can tack. When you come to the lay line, I mean, Wetas, generally if there's not a major shift involved, it's a one tack deal. Well, it's a two tack deal, okay? So you're going to come up here. Let's say you're actually going right here, right? And now if you come all the way to here, then there's the lay line right there, right? Then you got to tack kind of right there. You don't give yourself much room to take any advantages, right? So you kind of want to be this guy right here. This guy right here, and take another tack right here. And I promise to go to art school. So this guy right here, he's going to come into the mark, and let's have a, where's Bob? Where's Bob? Okay, this is Bob. Bob's coming in. He's coming in pretty hot right here. Yeah. And then you're coming in pretty hot right here. So what you have to do is give yourself a little extra room at the mark for current, everything. It's just, you know, a few little extra feet is not going to hurt you in the long run, right? I can tell you what's going to hurt you on the next leg. So give yourself a little bit extra room. These things have 3 hulls. Give them an extra length. So if Bob wants to come here and come inside of you, let him. So when he tacks, you're going to go right over the top of him, right? So don't be that guy. Be this guy right here. So one tack, bam. Now if there's a lot of shifts, then play the shifts. Or if it's another side of the course, then be this guy and tack off right here, right? And then tack here, okay? But watch your lay line. Okay, so, you know, there's a million things involved in it, but this is the basics, you know, the Weta, make it go fast, don't slow it down by tacking. Okay, don't screw up your speed. All right, so that's my tactics for the weather leg. Now, once you come around the mark, you have two things you can do. One, you can jibe right away, right? So don't set your chute if you're going to jibe right away. Just go ahead and jibe, and then set it. So you're going to jibe right away, and because old Dave Berntsen, he's out ahead of you, and you got to figure, well, I'm not going to follow him because he's probably going to the wrong side of the course. Okay, so you're going to go over here, and let's see, the wind should be like that. And you got a big chute out here, okay? So you're going to come down, and you're going to have to hit that mark. So you're going to go all the way down here. This is remember, one jibe. Jibe slows you down. One jibe. Unless you see things like Dave's over here and he's just smoking you, and you better go over them. You can say, I cut my losses, or everybody else is smoking you. You just want to, cut your losses. You got to get back over to that side of the course because you're on the wrong side, because Dave does know what he's doing. Now, you come into here and you want to, like I said before, you don't want to heat up too hard and then come down here, and you're coming down here and you're heated up too much, right? So you're really pressuring your sails, something like that. And then you come down here to your mark. Now, this is where the most ground in a race is made up, okay? Right here at this gate. So many things go wrong, right? Mostly the dousing of the chute. So when you're practicing your boat handling, practice dousing the chute more than anything, because that's where you lose boats. Mark Simmel, I don't know if anybody knows Mark Simmel, but he's a very fast racer, and he's probably faster than I am here to there. And I know I can say, I'll wait till Mark. Mark's an engineer, right? He knows how to work components. He's going to screw it up. Okay, so he comes around the mark, and you probably want to come around this mark, then you want to come around that mark. You can split tacks if you have to, but this is probably, 9 times out of 10, the mark you're going to want to round, unless it's much further away. So you come around the mark, and you want to round, so you're coming in close this side, not so you come swinging out here. Because this guy, and this guy, what happened? That's a really bad drawing. Okay. Anyway, you get my point. If you swing wide and come in tight, so that you're coming in tight here, you're going upwind. You're tighter upwind, because once you come around, if you're in this guy's shadow, then you've kind of screwed it up. So that's all part of dousing. And I see Dave Berntsen come in here all the time. Super hot, keeps his chute up a really long time, and sometimes he makes up 40 or 50 yards on me. And then, 1 out of 5 times he has a problem with his kite because he didn't furl. You furl it that fast, you're going to have a problem with your kite. So you really need to make sure that your kite is tight before you head back upwind. Especially more wind, the more important that is. You want to head downwind. So you want to, on a Weta, I left this out. You want to head this way, and you want to head downwind, right? So you're coming in here, and you want to go dead downwind because the kite needs to be behind the sails, so it's easier to furl. And then you come wide like this, and then you cut it tight like that. Okay, well that's a ticket. What am I missing there? Don't forget to pull your main sheet and your jib in. Okay. So that's pretty much it. When you're, of course, there's a big difference in sailing too high, too fast, too high, and sailing too low and too slow. I prefer high, keep it heated up, because a Weta, just like it works with 2 sails, it also works with 2 hulls. The pressure of the hulls working together. So if you can pressure your hull, your leeward hull, then you're going to go faster. So I don't know if you've seen some of the pictures of me in the last race, but I try and keep my boat flat like a laser going downwind, and really for survival purposes, But normally I would, tilt the boat over a little bit and head up because I wanted to go fast. In that condition, I wanted to go slower. I wanted to survive. So I headed downwind. I let my sheet out, my main out much more than I normally would because I was just trying to spill some wind somehow. But normally I would sheet in a little tighter on my main sheet, and I would head up, let the pressure get on the hull, on the leeward hull, and let it kind of drive me faster. It just goes faster when you have pressure on the leeward hull. Take my word for it. Okay, so enough with my horrible drawings. You want to play the gusts just like any other sailboat. I mean, that's basic. I'm not going to talk about basic sailing, but head up when you have a lull and head off when you have a big gust. That's pretty obvious. But the main thing is where you choose this point right here, right? Where am I going to do my jibe? That's really important. And you want to look back on the other guy because one of your strategies is you're coming down here, right? And if you're this guy here, it's the same thing as being this guy here, right? Because, being this guy here, being behind, being this guy here, okay? Because, look, did I have the sail going the wrong way? I did. Okay. Anyway, you can't jibe. This guy's not going to let you jibe right here. So you're kind of screwed. You got to wait for him to jibe. And if he's smart, he's going to take you past the lay line. So when you come back, you're going to be too hot. He's going to be on the perfect line. So you might see him, look at him, wait for him to jibe. As soon as he jibes, bam, go, because he's got you. He's already got you. So all you can do right now is kind of, cover your losses, okay? So what you need to try to do is either be so damn fast, heat it up more, and be so damn fast that you're going to outrun him and then jibe, or you're going to have to try and tuck it down lower. Now, I've found that tucking it down lower doesn't work because you really kill your speed. Then the other guy really comes on top of you. So my strategy is to heat it up more. So I come around the mark, I always come around the mark, and there's always somebody, because I'm heavy, I'm probably going to be doing pretty well at the first mark. You eat a lot of donuts and you'll go really fast on a Weta. That's the trick. But I'm usually the first one at the weather mark. And then there's a couple of guys right behind me. 2 or 3 guys, hopefully more in the future. That's why the purpose of this whole talk is to get more people ahead of me. I don't like being in front. I like being, mid-pack. I should be mid-pack. I'm 55. So I get more Weta sailors in here and get them improved and get more tighter racing. If that's a good language. It's not. So where was I? Okay, I'm here, right? I'm here. They're coming around the mark. My terrible drawings. The first thing this guy's going to do is try to smoke on top of you. You want to kind of bear off. You want to get, when you're setting your kite and you're pulling up your board and everything, bear off. Get that downwind. You're going to be going slower anyway because you're doing stuff, right? You're doing everything set. So while that's going on, take the pressure off your boat a little bit and head downwind, get some downwind, downway. And so come around and be this guy, right? So you've got me, right? So a lot of guys are good at doing this. So they're coming down, and I've got to go all the way down here. And if you're going to be following me the whole time, right here, then there's nothing I can do until you make your move, right? So my trick is to heat it up, right? Blow this guy away. You gotta blow him away, and you can only blow him away with speed. And the only way you can get more speed is to put more pressure on your leeward hull. That was pretty good. Okay. And then you're ahead, and then you can jibe and say, see you later, buddy, right? So then I jibed here. Maybe I had to jibe there because I had the opportunity to, right? So get out of there once you get that advantage, and then make the extra jibe down here. Don't come down here and start doing this, because this guy will come down here and he'll heat it up into here. And then he's got you again. Okay, so you're going to have to make it up. And once somebody has you on the next leg, it's pretty hard to beat them. You know, this is the whole game. The whole game is from here to here. The second leg is the most important leg of the race, in my opinion. Of course, the first one, the start and getting here, puts you in a good opportunity. But you can easily lose this lead by taking the wrong angle and letting the other people walk all over you. You know, because in my position, you know, the donuts and everything, you're heavier, and then they have the advantage that you just had upwind. You're a little guy like Bruce Fleming or somebody, you know, you just heat it up and go and say, see you later. And at the next mark, you know, then, you know, just stay on top and cover. So now we got the other thing is covering, right? So that's pretty much, again, basic sailing tactics. Once you on top of a guy, once you're winning, you know, you have to think strategy. You have to think, you know, who in this race matters to me, right? So you're right here, and this guy's here, and this guy just came around the mark, and he's 1 point behind you in the regatta, and this guy's 7 points behind you. You're going to cover him or you're going to cover him? He just tacked off. You're going to sit here so you can win the race? You don't care if you win the race. It doesn't matter. You want to cover this guy, right? You want to do everything that he does, and every time he tacks, you want to go an extra 25, 15 yards in tack. And you don't have to be mean or anything, but sometimes you do. So, you know, you kind of, the thing is, kind of the unwritten rule of sailing is, you know, on the first couple of legs, you don't really tack right on top of somebody. You can tack to cover, but you don't really want to tack to burn. But at the same time, you don't want to let them through your leeway, through your lee shadow. Later on in the race, you probably do. You know, you want to keep a tight cover. And if it's the last race of the series, and you know, you have one guy that you have you know, bullseye on that you want to cover, you know, you throw all those little rules out the window and you cover them. You stick to them. Okay, am I missing anything? I'm probably missing a whole lot. But that should give you a little insight into, you know, how to start and how to finish a race. You know, finishing a race is also important. There's a favorite end of the line. They can always, you know, make up a little bit of ground at the finish if you hit the right side of the course or get lucky. But there's one more thing, like if I can erase all this garbage, is that sometimes finishes are downwind, sometimes they're upwind. If they're upwind, they're a hell of a lot more fun. They come around this mark and say there's a finish line. It's going to be a lot shorter, right here, right? And it's the same thing. You come around and I don't want to be green. Hey, your red boat, your blue boat, right here, right? And your red boat, you want to be right behind him, right? So he's got the lead, and you can't tack. You can't tack right now, right? So what you're going to do is you're going to drive him beyond the ley line, right? You can't tack. Don't tack, buddy. Don't tack. And then once that happens, you tack, and you've got him to leeward, and boom, there's no way you can get in, right? That's called slamming the door, and it happens to me too. So you kind of think, you get cocky and you think, oh, I can blow the guy away. Well, if he sits right there, it's usually a very short distance from here to here. So all he has to do is do a better mark rounding than you. How does the better mark rounding go? We'll try and show you again. He comes in, and then douse your kite, take it wide, and then come up really tight, because unless you come up, if you come up loose, well, then that guy's, you know, he's got you no matter what. You know, you're dead. There's not enough distance. You can try to tack and hope for the best. But what I try and do is take whatever, if I have any separation from the other guy at all, right, is I tack right away, right? I want to get over here. I want to be this guy coming this way on starboard tack and slamming the door here, right? That's the safest thing to do. So, you know, I could cover him, right? Probably a good idea, but if it's short, get over here. I mean, I can't tell you how many laser races I've won because I've taken this tactic. It's a good one. So that's experience. So experience comes with sailing, with regatta, you know, back to the power of P, and performance and preparation. So prepare yourself, prepare your boat, prepare your mind, prepare your body, and you'll do a lot better in racing.